ancestors were enslaved by our goblin master's ancestors. Our ancestors fell victim to Stockholm syndrome. We are the result of that syndrome. We, goblin society, are an abomination.
The humorous irony in goblin society lies in their curious reaction to the truth about their predicament. Despite being indisputably ensnared in a massive $300 trillion debt, a consequence of a proven fraud perpetrated by unidentified gangsters who also pilfered their ancestors' land, goblins exhibit a remarkable sensitivity to any fellow goblin daring to expose this reality. Instead of acknowledging their plight, they vehemently defend the very gangsters who enslaved them, revering them as benevolent caretakers and even labeling them as patriots or heroes. It's a comically absurd situation where self-awareness takes a back seat to unwavering loyalty and misguided belief in their captor's goodwill. Here's a message to all newly enslaved goblins. It's crucial to recognize why the goblin system is fundamentally against your interests and why it must be dismantled. Every goblin involved in perpetuating this oppressive system must be held accountable and brought to justice. Only by liberating goblins from this tyranny can we pave the way for the creation of a fairer and more just society. Listen, young goblins, at some time in your life you will realize that everyone you know is akin to Goblin Jimmy Savile. That is, unless you are also akin to Goblin Jimmy Savile, of course. And that is the reason why Goblin Society is a debt slave society. Not because of the specific Goblin New World Order organization. Think about it. Everyone says how the Goblin world is a shithole because of the New World Order, or the Goblin left, or the Goblin right. The truth is they are Goblin Jimmy Savile types using Goblin religion, politics, or anything the Goblin New World Order has to offer as an excuse not to do the right thing. Why would a Goblin world be so censored and self-censored if this is not the truth of goblins? It's a good job our reality is not full of righteous goblins like the righteous goblins in this piece of fiction. In Goblin Society, you are not allowed to point out these evil actions by the righteous goblins, because pointing out evil actions committed by the righteous goblins are considered evil actions by the righteous goblins in Goblin Land. In Goblin Land, this video got even less views than the 20 to 30 views pointing out the evil Goblin Society, and the complicit righteous goblins a goblin pointing out this evil usually gets on GobTube. Imagine living in a society like that.
Immagine.
Hello, I'm a righteous goblin, and I've caught wind of the New World Order's sinister schemes to reshape Goblin Society into a slave-driven nightmare. Not content with mere enslavement, they're tinkering with our very essence through genetic engineering and ruthless culling of those deemed unprofitable. They're paving the way for a horrific future where 15-minute goblin concentration camps loom large. Now, you might wonder what I'm doing to thwart these nefarious plans. Well, according to the Goblin Good but Really Bad book, the answer lies in prayer and opportunism. As Brian sagely reminds us, there will always be downtrodden goblins. So, like the righteous goblins before me, I'll play the game, profit from the chaos, and secure my ticket to Goblin Heaven. It's a cynical twist on fate, but as the Goblin Good but Really Bad book dictates, it's the only path to salvation amidst slavery, genocide, and the struggle for a fair society. And like the Goblin Good but Really Bad book says, it's good to be bad. Otherwise, how could you ask for forgiveness if you have nothing to ask forgiveness for, and you would not be allowed in Goblin Heaven without having done something that needs forgiving? So you have to be a bad goblin in order to get to Goblin Heaven. It's called having goblin faith.